Hi there, James Savage from National Club Golfer, and today I'm going to give you my rundown of the best drivers for 2018. Okay, so first place we're going to start, who I guess have kind of been the market leaders over the last 12 months in drivers, and that's Callaway. So we've got three drivers from Callaway. We've got the regular Rogue, we've got the Draw, and we've got the Sub-Zero. So like I say, you've probably already seen a lot of these drivers, like the Callaway drivers, in individual reviews, but we just wanted to do a little bit of a summary, and we will have a results table which I will show you at the end with all the numbers and who had the best carry, that sort of thing. So I've actually got the Sub-Zero driver here, I've got the Draw here, and I've got the regular here. And on all three of these drivers, the first thing to say is they're a little bit bigger than the Epic. They fill you with a little bit more confidence, but you still get that same explosive feel off the face. So all three drivers really good. For me, it would be the regular model which works best, because with the Draw I just felt I was just flipping it over to the left a little bit, and the Sub-Zero, though I did hit some absolute bombs with the Sub-Zero, it just isn't quite as forgiving on the off-centre hits as the regular Rogue. So it's more forgiving than the Epic. Ball speeds very similar, but it just fills you with so much more confidence out of dress, and I think they look a little bit better too. Okay, next up we've got the two new TaylorMade drivers, which is the M3 and the M4. Hugely popular and successful on tour with the M3, like we've seen Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods using, and then with the M4, which out of the two, I definitely think the M4 is going to suit more people. It definitely suits me more. At the address position, they both look very similar, and we were a little bit torn at the start whether or not we preferred the grey finish or whether we preferred the old white finish, but I think after spending a little bit more time hitting both these drivers, we definitely seem to prefer that silver finish. It's just a little bit more refined, a little bit more classy. So, as I say, M4 all day for me. You may have seen a video we did recently. We went down to see TaylorMade at the Belfry. We did a little fitting feature, and I got some fantastic numbers with the M4 after getting dialed in. It's really forgiving all across the face. It's, ball speeds are absolutely fantastic. And with the M3, I just didn't find it as forgiving on the off-centre hits. I mean, you can actually move the weights on the M3 both back into this sort of forgiving higher spin position, but even then I was still getting better numbers with the M4, and I just feel like if you're going to just put the weight back in the M3 rather than trying to dial in a particular shot shape, I'm not really sure why you'd be paying that extra £100 for this as opposed to the M4. So it's just a case of, if you want to get dialed in for a particular shot shape, if you want to work it left or right, the M3 may work better for you, but if you just want to grip it and rip it, the M4 is an absolute beauty. Okay, so next up we've got the Ping G400 Max driver, which was an addition to Ping's existing G400 range with the regular model, the LS Tech and the SF Tech there. I have to say I've been phenomenally impressed with the G400 Max. You may remember from our individual review out in Abu Dhabi of this club, I probably got my best set of TrackMan numbers, for consistency, really good carry, really good ball speed, excellent dispersion. So like I say, just a reminder that we will have a results table at the end of this video, which has got, a league table, if you like, of the best carry numbers. I think it's fair to say the Ping G400 Max will do well in that. Okay, next up we've got the Titleist 917 D2 driver. Now this is almost nostalgic getting this driver out of the head cover. I got fitted into this product autumn 2016. Obviously Titleist have their 2-year product cycle, so I will be expecting a new Titleist driver this autumn. So it was nice actually to go back and have a hit with the 917. Like I say, I got fit into this 18 months ago, and I just think my strike patterns were a little bit different then to what they are now, and I got fitted into an 8.5 degree head back then. Now I feel like my driving is a lot better. I'm striking it more in the middle. When I was actually striking this club out of the middle, I just wasn't launching it high enough. So that was costing me a little bit of distance, but looks fantastic, sounds good. Numbers are still good. You'll see those in the results table at the end of this video, and you can really get dialed in with this club. And again, I got fitted into this club where I got more weight loaded into the heel, where my miss then was sort of a left to right. Now my miss is a little bit more of a one where I turn it over a little bit and miss left. So again, I'd really need to get refit into this club to get the best out of it. But yeah, a fantastic product, and I really enjoyed giving it another hit. Okay, next up we've got the Cobra F8 driver. We were really impressed with this product when we went to the launch event of this in October 2017. Sort of first impressions hitting on the driving range, we really liked it. We got it sent into the office a few months later, really liked it, and then we got it sent in again for our latest round of testing, and we really liked it. It's just a fantastic looking product. It looks fantastic, it sounds fantastic, it's got its CNC milled face, and lots of cool technology going on with this club, and it's a really good sort of value for money package as well, because we've got the Arcos technology in the grip as well, where you can track your stats, you know, share your numbers on social media, things like that. So as an overall value for money package, the F8 is absolutely fantastic. And just a reminder that we will have a results table at the end of this video where you can see where the F8 stacked up from a numbers point of view. Okay, next up we've got a couple of drivers from Mizuno. We've got the ST180 and we've got the GT180. I mean, Mizuno have really upped their game in the drivers department over the last 12 to 18 months or so. You know, fantastic irons and a reputation of making fantastic irons, but I think what we will start to see now is that they are going to be getting a lot more kudos, if you like, for the drivers that they're making. So ST180, yeah, tested this out in Abu Dhabi. Really enjoyed using it. It's got a nice confidence inspiring profile at dress. I love the blue, not everyone does, but I love it. And with the ST180 in particular, I was getting a really flat, low spinning ball flight, which, to be honest with you, on the TrackMan numbers, which I'll put a table of results up of at the end, they don't often look that impressive, but you know, sometimes we're running out 30-35 yards. So out on the course, a driver like the ST180 is going to work really well for me. And then so kind of shortly after the ST180 was released, they released the GT180, which is just the super adjustable version of it. Really, it looks exactly the same in the address position. It sounds and feels pretty much the same. And another thing what I liked about both these drivers, it was with this Mitsubishi Tensai Blue 60-gram shaft, which I absolutely love and I really enjoyed hitting. And with the GT180, I was just able to launch it a little bit higher, so therefore I was getting better carry numbers with this than with the ST180. So you'll be able to see where these two both stacked up in our results table at the end of this video. Okay, next up is the Strix Z565, another driver that's been around for a little while, but it's a driver that, you know, Strix have had a lot of success with. It's probably the best Strix driver that I've ever tested. I think it's probably got the nicest head cover out of everything. If anyone was particularly into head covers at all, it's almost got like a nice soft sort of leathery feel. Yeah, like that one. So what does the Strix Z565 do? Well, like I say, you set it down behind the ball. It's a very classic shape. It's got a clean, no alignment aid, silver face, which presents the loft quite nicely. Classical shape. I think it's definitely going to be more up the street of your better player. I think for little things like that, with that, you know, clean look, no alignment aid. But yeah, just really nice to look at behind the ball. Good fun to hit, lovely sound and feel, but even when I was striking this driver right out the middle, I was just struggling to launch it a little bit, and that's why a key thing from this test has been that custom fitting is just an absolute must. It just stressed to me why the fitting is so important, and if I was going to get fitted into this driver, I think I could get even better numbers. The numbers are great, you know, actually you'll see in the results table they are very good. But I just didn't feel like I was getting optimum performance out of this driver because of the combination of maybe that loft and maybe the shaft not quite working for me. Okay, next up I've got the Cleveland Launcher HB driver. Yeah, you may remember from our initial video of this, I really enjoyed hitting this club actually. It's no nonsense, it's simple, there's no, you know, sort of adjustability in the hosel or anything like that, no moving weights on the back. It's just a really fun, simple, easy to use, easy to launch, goes miles driver. And for the money, you're talking, you know, more like the £280 mark for this driver. You know, the numbers are really good and they are stacking up with your 400 plus drivers. So yeah, if you want, you know, an under £300 driver that's just good fun to use, it kind of does what it says on the tin. Yeah, I was a big fan of the Cleveland Launcher HB. Okay, next up we've got the super premium Zek Co10 driver, which probably not a lot of you have been able to test or hit. They're not that easy to come across. You're not going to find them in your average sort of retail store. They're It is a bit of a niche product, very premium, #1 driver in Japan, hugely successful in Japan, and you know, a lot of the sort of Asian ladies tour players are using Zek Co clubs. And visually they are absolutely stunning. They are just look like really premium materials, finely crafted, and you know, some of that really cool Japanese technology. So how did the Zek Co10 driver perform for me? Well, the sound and feel off the face is absolutely fantastic. Like I say, it just feels super premium, looks great. But for me, these clubs are aimed more at your sort of slower swingers and your senior and your ladies players, and the shaft just wasn't quite strong enough for me. It's a kind of more of a draw bias head, there's quite a lot of loft on there, and I just had a tendency to sort of flip it over, just like whip it over to the right and lose shots to the right, and for that reason I was just losing a little bit of carry, as you'll see in our results table at the end of this video. But for the people that this driver is aimed at, those people are maybe not got the swing speed that they used to have, they want a little bit of help, you know, the sort of extra long shafts and shafts with kind of kick points that are just really going to help you square that face. This driver is going to do that job for you, but for me it was just doing that a little bit too much. I was, you know, squaring the face, you know, more than squaring, like I say, whipping it over to the left a little bit. But yeah, pretty good first impressions of this driver. Okay, so we're going from one end of the spectrum to the other, really, with the super premium Zek Co driver down to the new Ben Ross Evolution R driver. Now, we say this every year in our test, Ben Ross products are really, really good value for money. You know, you're not looking anywhere near £300 for this product. It's good premium components, a nice Kurakage shaft, good grips. Looks good, bit of adjustability on there, so you know, there's plenty of technology still in this club. Set it down behind the ball. It's got a, you know, bit of an unusual line on the top there and an alignment A, which might put some people off, but the performance is really, really good. You know, you're talking getting on for £200 less than some of the other drivers in this test, and you'll see that the drop in carry from this driver to some of the more expensive drivers, it's not a £200 drop, if you like. You know, we are talking a small number of yards. So if, you know, money's a little bit tight, you want plenty of bang for your buck, then I definitely would recommend giving the new Ben Ross Evolution R driver a try this year. Okay, next up we've got the Wilson C300 driver, which is a very distinctive red crown there, more like the Rooney crown. I was really impressed with this driver when I hit it. I was getting some really good numbers with it. I did say in our original review of this video that I was not a fan of the sound, but that's just a completely personal thing. That's not really taking anything away from it. It was just a little bit of a harsh sounding driver for me, and not as sweet as some of the others that we tested. But, you know, really good forgiveness, really good numbers, as you'll see. I might have already told you that we've got a results table at the end of this video, so you'll be able to see how it stacks up there. But I think this is the best driver that Wilson driver that I've ever hit. It's nice to see them bringing out products that get better year after year after year, and the C300 is a really good one. Okay, and last but by no means least, we've got the Wildcard entrance into our 2018 driver review, and it's the vertical groove driver as used by the Wild Thing John Daly. A really unique product compared to the others that we've been testing here, because as the name suggests, it's got vertical grooves rather than horizontal grooves, which you might expect. And the tech story behind that does make sense to me. It's just kind of about trying to reduce that side spin on the ball and get the ball, you know, spinning more sort of like end over end, if you like, or you know, at least maybe kind of drawing over a little bit. So does the vertical groove technology work? Well, I think it does actually. The spin numbers I was getting on this were nice and low, and I was getting lots of carry. A little bit difficult to launch it, 9.5 degree head here, but when I hit this out the middle, it went really, really far, and it was actually surprisingly forgiving out of the toe as well, which is a sort of a speciality miss for me. So I was very impressed with this driver. It's not the most confidence-inspiring driver at address. It's quite small, it's quite compact, quite busy look there, there's lots going on, but if you get a chance to give this a hit, definitely give it a go, because I was getting some really good numbers in the results table, which I'm going to show you now. Okay, so that's more than enough waffling on from me about all these drivers here. Let's take a look at the results table, which you should be able to see on screen now. Now, before people start moaning and saying, oh, you're using different shafts, you know, this, that and the other, it's not a fair test. Well, I've tried to make this as fair a test as possible. I've given all of these drivers, not just like one go on the driving range. You know, we hit them all pretty much when we were out in Abu Dhabi using you know, nice warm weather conditions. I've hit them all back here in Leeds at multiple driving ranges, multiple different testing sessions. So, you know, if I didn't feel like I was swinging quite so well on one day with a driver, I wouldn't say, well, that's the best that can do. I'd put it to one side, take it with me the next time, give it another hit. So every driver here has had, you know, at least 2, maybe 3, sometimes 4 different you know, run outs, if you like. And you know, some of these drivers are pretty much custom fit for me as well. Maybe that's just due to me, a manufacturer already having my specs from a previous fitting, or I've actually had an individual fitting with this driver. And it's no surprise to see that some of the drivers that I've had a more of a fitting with are the ones that I've had the best numbers. So if you look at these results tables here, it doesn't necessarily mean you know, the one at the top is the best and the one at the bottom is the worst. It's all player dependent, but people tell us we need to do these sorts of videos, so we're doing it. And these are the numbers, so let's just run through them for you now. Sat there at the top, best carry of 254 yards was the Callaway Rogue Sub-Zero driver. Now, that's not the driver that I'd probably put into play, because I just don't think it's that as forgiving as the regular Rogue model. But when I absolutely caught one out of the middle with this driver, with that sort of, you know, low spin, weight forward technology, I did just, you know, I got the best carry out of everything there. 254 yards, that's pretty good for me. Next up, 252 yards was the Cobra F8. Now, people might be surprised to see how well the Cobra has done, but you know, the ball speed on this club is fantastic. It was regularly up at 150 miles an hour, which, you know, for someone like me who swings it just below 100 miles an hour, sometimes 100 miles an hour, if you know your stuff when it comes to TrackMan numbers, that's about as good as you can get from a ball speed point of view. So Cobra there. Next in was the Ping G400 Max and the TaylorMade M4. 2 drivers that I've both been, you know, pretty much custom fit for. 251 yards. Like I say, no, that's, you know, 3 yards behind the Rogue Sub-Zero, which you're not really going to notice out on the golf course. And you know, those are the 2 drivers for me that I you know, I think are probably most likely. It's between those 2 which I'm going to use out on the course in 2018. Next, 249 yards was the Callaway Rogue. Again, I'd probably have to throw that into the mix about the driver that I'm going to use for 2018. It just depends whether or not Callaway let me keep it. So again, just a couple of yards behind. And then the Mizuno GT180, a little bit of a surprise package there. And the Vertical Groove driver there coming in at 248 yards. So, you know, really good performance from those 2 products there. Next, 243 yards was the Callaway Rogue Draw driver. Again, it's like a fitting thing really. That it's not really the right driver for me, because of my sort of miss these days is that maybe sort of toey, you know, flipping it over one that goes to the left. So I find with the draw bias drivers, I'm not quite getting optimum performance. Next, 242 yards, the Titleist 917. Again, it's a driver that I feel like if I was to be refitted for tomorrow, I think I could probably gain 10 yards on that, no problem at all. It's just 8.5 degrees of loft was right for me 18 months ago. It's probably not right for me now because of how I'm delivering the club and how I'm striking it. But considering those factors, you know, 242 yards of carry, that's really good with Titleist's 917 driver, which is about 18 months old now. So I'm looking forward to what they've got in store for us in the autumn. Next up, 240 yards, Wilson C300. Yeah, not a huge fan of the sound, but it really does perform. You know, 240 yards of carry, that's excellent for the Wilson C300. And then we had a little cluster here at 238 yards, which is quite interesting, which was the TaylorMade M3. Again, just didn't find that head quite as forgiving. The Mizuno ST180, just couldn't quite launch it, and the spin was a little bit low. It's a very similar story with the Strix. Z565, the Cleveland launch, and probably just launched a little bit too high for me, and the Ben Ross Evolution R, like I say, 250 odd quid, 238 yards, I will take that all day long out on the course. And then finally, The Zek Co10, the best I got out of that was 232 yards of carry. Again, just not a good fit for me from a fitting point of view, but I really like that driver and I think it's going to work for lots of people. So that's more than enough talking from me. You've got all the numbers up there. If you ever want any information about any of these drivers in terms of an SRP, in terms of shaft options, if you're a little bit more information about the performance, like I say, we've got in-depth, detailed sort of launch monitor data on all these drivers, which we're more than happy to share with you if you want any more information. But post us the comments below, give this video a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down if you don't like it, if you think, you know, we've got this all wrong and this league table doesn't reflect the performance of these drivers. We're really interested to hear your thoughts from your own testing experiences. You know, these are just my own personal testing experiences of these drivers. It's very player dependent, it's very shaft dependent, it's very fitting dependent. It's, you know, it's all about how a particular player delivers the club. But these are my results, they're there. Drink them in, you know, have a look at them in a little bit more detail, then post us a comment below. But thanks very much for watching and we'll see you again soon.